Hey, what's good, y'all? Jay Boogie in full effect mode. Sound is the sound. You know how we do. This is, of course, The Lounge Presents. We're live streaming on Twitch right now. And, of course, this is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube on demand. Today, in the lounge space for the first time, such a pleasure to welcome this brother right here, Brother Ali.
Peace, peace, peace. What up, what up, what up?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I live in Istanbul, Turkey now for the last 4 years. I just spent 10 days in America, and I just got home yesterday. So it's 3 a.m. here, but I'm jet lagged, so it's like normal to me. You know what I mean? It's like daytime, so I'm all good.
I hear that. And you know what? Really appreciate the fact that you are doing it 3 a.m. Istanbul time. Salute.
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me, man.
It's looking forward to this one, most definitely. Now, we always start off by asking our guests one question. How are you first introduced to hip-hop culture?
So, yeah, for me, it's kind of everything. It's like the beginning of me feeling like me. I'm albino for anybody that can't see. My parents are white. There's albinos in every culture. But a lot of people, people from Africa have more albinos than anybody else. And so there's this feeling that albinos are black. White people feel that way. Black people feel that way. Anywhere where there's black people, it's like, oh, albinos are black. That's what happens when a black family has a white baby. And, but man, so yeah, when I was really young, I just didn't really have any connections, and people were cruel to me and all kind of things. And it really was through like black elders and friends and things, people in the black community that were just like, no, that's normal, and you're actually black. Like people used to tell me that when I was little, like, you're black, like that's normal for us, And so from the time I'm talking like 6, 7 years old, everybody important in my life was black. And then, so I've always really struggled with the people, the community that I experienced versus, so I have like the black homes that I'm in, and then my white home. And I know that there was just a tremendous lie being told about who black people are. And, that was always something that really bothered me, and it really stuck with me. And so I discovered hip hop after that, around the same time. But I mean, it wasn't the focus, at first. And then over time, I started realizing like, oh, this music is everything that my friends are. It's funny, and it's dynamic, and it's amazing, and it's genius, and it's scary, and it's sad. It's everything. Like, this is everything. And so that was earlier on in hip hop. And then by the time I became, like middle school age, 12, 13, around that time, hip hop took a huge leap in terms of the production and the lyricism and everything. And so then that's when it became the focus. So like 1989, 90, somewhere around there, it was like, okay, this is everything now.
That was a pivotal time. The years you referenced, specifically 89, 90, like that is a lot of people discovered it right around that time.
Yeah, I was listening very, like really avidly from like 85 on. But once we got to Rakim, KRS-One, Public Enemy's second album, like, that's when I was like, okay, this is not just music I listen to. This is the person I am. Like, this is how I identify as a human being.
Well put. I like how you put it. No larger truth can be. Is exactly how we feel. You speak for so many of us by saying that. You know that. What was being played around the home when you were growing up?
It was a variety of stuff. Like my mom really liked singer-songwriters, so she used to play the guitar and sing. So she liked Cat Stevens and people like that. She really loved Dionne Warwick. Like Dionne Warwick might have been her favorite.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, they liked the Beatles, and my dad liked blues music, but they weren't particularly musical people. Like it, and when I would go to my friend's house, there was music on all the time. And the type of music that was being played set the tone for what type of time we're on in the home. So in the black homes that I was in, it's like if we're listening to gospel, it's probably Saturday morning and we're cleaning the house. If we're listening to, if we're listening to jazz, then maybe it's time to like eat dinner or do homework or something like that. If they're playing, Shaka Khan or something like that, the kids are probably supposed to stay in the room. You know what I mean? You could tell
Yeah.
what was going on by the music, but in my parents' house, it wasn't really that. It was more like TV.
Okay. Now, for a lot of us, discovering the culture of hip hop, such a pivotal time in our discovery of the world. But not everyone that discovers the culture, becomes an MC or a DJ or a breaker or a graph writer. They remain lifelong fans, but they don't necessarily have, either in them to even want to be on stage, or they may have attempted and realized that it just wasn't their bag. What was it about hip hop that drew you in?
Well, I always knew that I was a person that should be on stage from the time I was a little kid. I just felt it. I knew it. I always performed in one form or another, singing or speaking. Like, in church, I would get up and talk, or like I was always in front of people. And I think there was some extra energy behind it because of just being an albino kid, like people could really make you feel like you weren't valid. And so
Mhm.
a lot of times I didn't realize it at the time, but looking back on it now, and even now, like I'm in my mid 40s, I've been touring for 20 years. Like I'm just starting to realize that like getting up in front of people, it's like I'm still trying to see some kind of validation, that like everyone's looking at me. I'm the center of attention, you know what I mean? And I think a lot of times people that are super motivated to do our thing on stage, there is something like that where like we felt voiceless or we felt powerless or we felt, some sort of need for connection, for validation, for love, and it comes out in different ways for different people. Some people want power, some people want, for me, I want to be understood and I want to connect. So, I've been on stage you know, from the very beginning.
I like how you use the word connect. That is a great word for describing exactly what you're talking about. If you've ever spent any time on stage for any amount of time, there is this feeling you get that you're
Yeah.
never going to feel anywhere else. And it's that connection that you're talking about. When you're looking out into a crowd, you're looking at faces. I mean, that connection is, you don't get that just walking down the street on any random day,
Yeah, and what's interesting is, so I'm partially blind too, so I can't see
right?
many of the faces, and it also depends on how the lights are. A
Hmm.
lot of times I can't see faces. Black audiences, you can hear when you're connecting though. You
Yes,
know what I mean?
yes.
Like with black audiences, you hear exactly how it's going. You don't need to really see. Um, you know, everything from, it might be as simple as just like, you know, like just some sort of like audible call and response happening
Yeah,
thing. And you can just feel it a lot more. Like you can
yeah.
feel when the room is coming together. And a lot of times my audiences are white. And so I do a lot of call and response especially with white audiences, because I need to be able to hear to know how well this is going, because I
Right,
can't
right.
necessarily see. So I really judge it by the amount of, you know, say ho, like how loud that ho is how good it's
Yeah,
going. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah. No, I feel you. I feel you. That's so true. You're obviously known for your pen. You're known for your gift of gab. Obviously, did you know MCing was gonna be the route, or did you dabble in DJing or breaking before finding MCing as your thing?
Yeah, I knew that it had to be MCing, but I do love producing. I have done some DJing. I can DJ
Yeah.
and I can produce, and you know, I never was much for dancing, but I did it. I just was never that good at it. And I was never good at graffiti, but I could do them well enough, like respectably.
Right.
But for me, like I've always known that words were going to be the thing. So either, so I mean, I am both a speaker and an MC. So if it wasn't MCing, there was a period where, like in my like later teens, I didn't think like where hip hop was going and what I look like, and I lived in Minneapolis. I was like, I'm probably not going to really be able to do MCing as a career. And
Hmm.
so I was preaching, like I was a Muslim imam, like I was a full-time imam at a mosque. And so those are and then I was a teacher. I taught school for a while, and, but I knew that like connecting with my words was going to be the thing somehow.
And you do a bang up job of connecting with your words. Trust.
I appreciate that.
Now, your first record was Shadows on the Sun,
Hmm.
right? And that was your debut on Rhyme Sayers. The first record you worked with Ant, and watching your discography leading from that first record up until now, Satisfied Soul, you're once again working with Ant. You've obviously developed a relationship. How was that relationship formed? How did you find the synergy that you have?
Yeah, I mean, we have so much in common, and then there's a lot about us that's really different. And I think that's what makes it so. But we really just like and love each other. Like we're always we would rather be with each other than anybody else, almost. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like if he's around, I can't just not. You know what I mean? Like if we're at some event, or like if we're on tour or something like that. Like I pretty much am always just like, "What are you doing? You want? What you talking about? You want?" Um, but yeah, I mean, so we both were married young. We both had similar ideas for like what it should be like to be a man, that you like take care of people, and that sort of thing. Um, Ant is black, white, and native, but he looks white. You know what I mean? But he was raised by his black family and his white mom's family. So he also had a similar kind of idea of like, where do I fit in? How do I fit in? He always loved the music. We also both very have a really deep connection and dedication to the music. I would say he's more dedicated than me, because I have these I also have Islam,
Right.
whereas for him it's just music is everything. Um, but I am also very dedicated, and so yeah, man. And then he also really knows me. Like he sees me in ways that I can't see myself. He's only about 5, 6 years older than me, maybe 7. But so now it's like I'm mid 40s, he's early 50s. It's no big deal. We're basically the same age. But when
Yeah.
I met him, I was like 19 and he was like 25, 26. And he was a grown man. He had a car and a wife and a house and a leathered coat. And like, it was like, man, that's a man. He
Yeah.
had a real job, and he, had a mortgage. I was like, I never knew anybody with a mortgage before. You know what I mean? So I still, like, I looked up to him a lot, and I still do. And so the way that I present myself when I'm with him is like, he has to feel like, okay, this is really who you are. There's like a certain thing that I do, that a certain part of myself that I can access only with him, really. And
Okay.
it's because of that relationship. And then also the music that he makes. He makes music for me that's like gospel, soul, and blues. Like it's all the
Hmm.
music that make me want to start talking.
No, that's real. Your synergy is unbelievable.
Mm.
It's just, hearing the progression from that first record. Full disclosure, I really caught wind of you around the Undisputed Truth, which I don't know what was it about that record, why it came into, into my sight. But for some reason, I latched onto it hard when it came out. I rinsed the shit out of that record.
Okay.
And it was like, obviously, when you discover an artist, if you dig what you're hearing, you're gonna dig and look into that discography. And part of that discography, later on, you did a record, Secrets and Escapes, with Evidence. Oh my God. Salute to you both.
Thank you.
That was how did that record come about?
So me and Evidence went on tour together in 2009. End of 2009, we did a long tour. We did like 50 shows, 51 or 2 shows in 60 days. So like almost every day. Yeah, we used to always tour like that. Shout to Atmosphere. That like Atmosphere basically taught me how to tour, and that's what they were doing at that time. None of us do that anymore, but that was the thing at that time. Yeah. So Evidence was just coming off of, all the stuff with Dilated Peoples and producing. He did a song on College Dropout for Kanye West, like produced it, had beef with Eminem, all this stuff. So I knew him and I knew his group and I knew his music, but he wanted to go and start doing the independent thing. And so he, I think, came on tour with us and agreed to do that and come to Rhymesayers, because it's like, well, okay, well, if I'm going to learn how to do the indie thing, these are the people to do it with. So we really bonded on that tour. A lot of similar things to what I'm talking about with Ant, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, it was just a great bond. But that album specifically, we were doing that like almost 10 years later. Like that came out 10 years after we first met. So I was on tour, like a different type of tour in 2018. And his son's mom was dying of cancer. And I was also going through a personal tragedy, not on that level, but I was going through a pretty serious personal tragedy too. And so I kept finding myself in LA on that tour. And so Ev was saying like, hey, why don't you come stay at the house? And, we kind of were both going through, he was, like I said, a lot more serious than I was, but we both were struggling. And so he was like, let's go in the studio. So he has a studio in the back of his house in Venice. And he sat there and made a beat. I sat there with him while he made the beat. And while he was making it, I was just kind of chiming in like, oh, I like that snare, or I like this, or try that, or, And then I started just kind of rhyming to it while he was making it, just off the top of my head, just 4 bars, something like that. So he's like, record that. I'm like, okay, I don't have a full verse, but I just recorded those 4 bars. And he'd be like, now just do another 4. And so I made that whole album without writing it. Like I just thought of 4 bars, recorded it, thought of 4 bars, recorded it. And I would, until he said I was done.
That's
with
raw.
each song. Yeah. So
Damn.
It's like I sat there for the beats being made, and then he sat there and I put my little, 2 cents in when he was making beats. He would do the same thing when I was rhyming. Like, so sometimes I'd get like 12 bars in and he'd be like, okay, now switch the flow totally. I'd be like, okay. And I'd start going a different direction with it. And then, a lot of the things that I usually do, like I know how to start a song a certain way, end it a certain way. And a lot of times I can, even if it's not the strongest song ever, if you end things well, they have a feeling of conclusion and it sounds good to the ear. And, but Evidence would just be like, all right, no more. Because I'm just doing a few bars at a time. No more, done. And I'm like, no, let me just say like an outro thing. No, it's done. Like, all right. So there's only one song on that album called Father Figures. I wrote that one the traditional way. I did that in Minneapolis.
Okay.
But everything else on that album was just mega raw. Um, I've always been close friends with Pharoah Monch. Like I really love Pharoah, and he's one of the greatest MCs ever.
Yep.
And we always
Yep.
thought we thought we'd do a joint together. Um, but I got done with a song called Situated, and I wasn't even done. He was just like, "You're done." I'm like, "Okay, cool." He said, um, "I'm gonna." He was like, "Pharaoh's gonna rhyme on this," and I was like, "Oh, well, that might be cool." He's like, "No, I already sent it to him. Like he's gonna rhyme on it." Like while I was making it, he just went to the computer and sent it to Pharaoh Monch. And so Pharaoh took a long time. Like he took a couple months. Um, and so gave his verse, and I was like, "All right, let me re-record mine," because I didn't know I was rhyming next to Pharaoh. I'm not gonna change it, but let me re-record it. And Ev was like, "No, nope, it's great. You keep it just like that." So a lot of the things that I'd like learned to polish, like I learned to polish things up, and like I'd been recording for 15 years at that point. I'm a professional and all this stuff. And Ev was just like, "No, we're getting rid of all that professional stuff." He's like, "Man, I want this to sound like a underground, like cipher tape type of thing."
Well, congratulations. Mission accomplished.
Man, I love that album. Thank you. I
Oh,
was
it's
just in
so
LA,
fire.
and I think we're gonna do another one.
Oh, please, yes. You've got because when you guys are locked in like that, look at the magic you guys come up with.
Yeah, there's certain people that
Jeez.
like bring a different element out of you, and he definitely, him and Ant bring very, very different things out of me.
Yeah, it's two different ciphers.
Hmm.
But that is what makes listening to your discography so enjoyable, is because you're able to dive into different pockets depending on who you work with.
Yeah.
And even hold up with Ant though, you and Ant have hit different pockets together still. We can't ignore that still.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things that we develop that only we can do. There's just certain things that there's just certain vibes and certain sound and certain topics and certain sentiment and feel that only the two of us can do. And so, yeah, but we try to find new things every time.
When when magic when people are able to get together and make magic, there are some who look at it as, well, this was always meant to be. We are here together now because we were supposed to meet in this manner and in this fashion to create this magic. While there are others who look at it more like it was more of a happenstance thing. Like, if I hadn't done this, I never would have run into you then. And which way do you look at it?
I mean, I'm a believer. Like, there's no happenstance. Like, even the things that we perceive as bad were meant to be, and even the worst nightmares in our lives or in our history or whatever, they're all tailor made for us, and they're the exact highs and lows and everything in between. All of it is exactly what was supposed to be for us.
Well put. I agree with you completely. I didn't always look at it from that viewpoint, but thankfully I've had the luck of having a wife that has been able to show me things that I didn't pay attention to when we first got married. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's definitely a clutch to be able to look at life that way. You know?
Yes. Yeah. My wife's a therapist, and so I didn't learn
Oh,
that
nice.
specific thing, but I've learned many other things since then.
Now, for real. That relationship with Anne obviously continues with this brand new record, Satisfied Soul. But you seem to have started a new relationship by having come out on Mello Music Group.
Yeah. So I was on Rhymesayers for 20 years. And that's, in terms of underground independent hip hop, that's exactly where someone would want to be.
Yeah.
And I definitely wouldn't have chosen to launch my career anywhere else, and I was there for for the bulk of it, you know.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, there was I had a couple of difficult years because my career started to just kind of go into a different direction than, that label is set up to do a very specific thing and to move in a specific way, and it
Yeah.
wasn't working for me anymore. It really is a label that there's a lot of great people, but like I said, when you have a big machine like that, like I was looking to get into podcasting and writing, and like I said, I'm also a speaker, and doing classes and all this kind of stuff. So for me, just putting an album out every single year and touring all the time isn't what I wanted to continue to do. And it just didn't feel like it was going in a good direction. It felt like it was on a downward cycle, and it was for a couple years. And so I just I was really concerned about, like, I don't know if this is going to continue to work. So I wanted to rebuild, and I wanted to build some new elements of my career and things. And I tried to do that there, but I realized that that's just not what they're set up for. They would have to build new departments for what I do, that wouldn't benefit any of the other artists there. And honestly, it probably wouldn't have been a great investment of their time and energy and everything else. And so yeah, I left Minneapolis, I left the label, I left America, and came for the last 4 years.
You did.
Been building my own thing. And so me and my partner BK1, who was my first DJ, he's the one that actually introduced me to Rhymesters back in the day. He was actually just coming out of a situation as well. And so we reconnected, and we've been doing this together. We put out an album last year called Love and Service that we really love.
Right.
But it was our first time trying to be a record label, and it just didn't go well. We just did, like, it was hard to get the word out. There was a lot of other circumstances too, but it was really difficult to do. And so for this album with Ant, I felt like we needed to have some help, like somebody that knows what they're doing on the record label side. The album was done, everything was completely done, music done, mixed, mastered. We had photographs, we had Brent Rollins doing the design, everything was done. But I was just like, man, we need some help. So I asked Merce, Merce, a great MC, great connector, one of my dearest friends, and he suggested Mello Music. So we reached out to them, very easy conversation, really cool people. I told him exactly what we wanted to do, and he was like, yeah, let's do that. No bargaining points, nothing weird. It was just like, yeah, let's do exactly that. And so, yeah, it's been really cool. It's been really good so far,
And Mellow Music, is this now your new permanent home, or is it for let's wait and see how this record goes?
We just did this one. I think we're in a position now where we can do whatever we like with each project, So we may have some that, one of the things when I started to do my own thing, I reached out to Alchemist, because, Alchemist really made this chapter of his career by just putting out records and saying, okay, I'm going to sell 300 of these, and then next month I've got something else, I'm going to sell 500 of these. And it's just direct to his. And so we did a few of those, and they go really well, and you can make money doing that.
There you go. Yeah.
But you don't get the word out as much. And so I think, if there's something that we want to get the word out more, then we partner with a label.
Right.
If Mello wants to keep working with us, I think everybody's very happy, but we're still in the honeymoon phase, you know what I mean? So we'll see what it's like. Of course. We'll see what it's like in a year when it's, you know what I mean? We'll see. But it all signs to point to it being good. But there may be things that we'll do on our own.
Of course.
We might do some things with labels. Yeah. It's like each project.
Exactly. For artists right now, you have a myriad of options You can flex it in any way you like, depending on how you want to run, each individual project. You don't have to this so much can be done in house now. Something that you are obviously familiar with, but I mean, just look at what's possible now. You could be just your own in-house, manufacturing the dope Brother Ali albums. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there is something to be said. What we're learning though is that there is something to be said um, for people who have a system together for stuff like distribution, like knowing how distribution works. There's an art to every single part of business.
Oh, oh,
And
oh yeah.
so we've actually learned a lot, and I have a different appreciation for rhymesayers now that I've done something else. Just like I have a different feeling about America now that I don't live in America anymore. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
in Islam, if you divorce your wife 3 times, you can't get married again, unless she marries somebody else, and then you can marry her again. You know what I mean? Because it's like, if you're struggling with something, it's like try something else, and then you'll understand this better. You know what I mean? So I am learning that there's a lot more to running a label successfully than I initially understood before I tried doing it, and before I was on. When you've only been on one label your whole life, it's hard to compare it to anything.
Yeah. I like how you sequenced the record. It was very well sequenced. The order of the track list from one to, especially 1 to 5. I was like, wow, this is like, this sequencing is killer. This is exactly the order that this should be heard in. You know what I'm saying?
Man, me and Ant love that type of thing. And also BK1, like my partner in the label too. All three of us are really into that type of thing. Yeah, but thank you. Also like the
Yeah.
way the songs flow together, the what the
Yep.
transitions are. Yeah, we're all really into that type of stuff.
Nah, for real. It's such a good record. Such an unbelievable record. And you've obviously been able to hit the pavement and promote it with some shows. You've already done some, look, right? But you've got some more still coming.
Yeah, so me and Ant actually did a tour on the west part of the country together a couple months ago. And I have one on the east and south in the US coming up with DJ Abilities. DJ Abilities is a DMC champion, like, champion
Salute.
turntablist. So, yeah, man, that'll
Hell
be
yeah.
dope. I'm really looking forward to that. We just announced that I'm gonna do a UK tour, and there's more of all of that kind of stuff coming up, like more in Europe. So yeah, I think Europe will do in pieces. Like I'm not going to do one long European tour, but like because I live in Istanbul now, it's just a short flight. So now I can be with my family. I go do 1 week in England, come back. The next month I maybe go do 4 shows in Scandinavia, come back, go back, do 4 in France, come back, go do 4 in Germany, rather than having to be gone for months at a time.
The one thing I've got to ask you is having been raised in Minneapolis, Midwest.
Hmm.
We're here in Winnipeg, Canada. We're literally right above you. We share a lot of similarities. Midwest,
Yeah.
hip hop heads.
Yeah.
The difference in culture and just in everyday life between Minneapolis and Istanbul has got to be whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, it's different. It's very different, from America. I mean, some of the things that you notice right away are that it's not dangerous. Like there's not violent crime. You don't have to worry
Well,
about
that's
people
got to be
stealing.
nice.
It
Yeah,
is. It's
that's
tremendous.
got to be nice.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing also is that for the most part, women are safe. Women and girls are safe. And I have a wife and 3 daughters.
So that's
Um,
very important.
yes. Also, my wife and daughters are black, and the racism here is not anti-black. It's, their trouble is with Syria and Afghanistan,
Yeah.
and it's like it's just not the same. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we live without violence. We live without women being, women are safe, kids are safe, black people are safe, and then also you don't worry about money in the same way, and that's it's a privilege, the fact that we earn U.S. dollars, and we're in a place
Mm-hmm.
where we're spending lira. So the Turks do worry about money, but even the way they worry about money is like, you guys don't understand. You know what I mean? Like in America, like if in 2 months, you could go from being in a pretty stable situation to 2 or 3 months later being completely homeless, living on the street in a
Yes.
tent
Yeah.
with your children.
Yeah.
People in other countries don't understand that. You know, Here it's like it's only going to get so bad. The people pretty much take care of each other. So also the financial stress is not the same as it is in America. Um, and then also we're Muslim. Me and my wife are both converts to Islam, and we're people that are trying to live our lives and raise our kids as Muslims, and it's hard to do that in America. We wouldn't.
Yeah.
There's others. There's a lot of different Muslim cultures, and they're very different. So Istanbul is very different from Malaysia, very different from Saudi Arabia, very different from, East Africa. Like they're all very different cultures. But Istanbul, like Turkey, is a really good culture for us because we have an older daughter who's into records, and when we got here, she was skateboarding, and she's into photography and all this kind of stuff. But she's
Hey.
also religious. You know what I mean? And so here
Yo,
it's
I'm
very
happy to hear
normal.
that. I'm happy for
Hmm.
you, man.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really
It's
normal.
it's it's really important. Sorry, go ahead.
Maybe we have a delay. I'm sorry, but it's very normal for a teenage girl, to be really into records and music, and all whatever type of music she's into, and also be religious, and not to feel like she's got to hide one part of herself from the other part.
That's really important. Nah, man. Like I'm really happy for you. At the end of the day, that's what we want, right? That's what we want. We want to live somewhere where we know our families are going to be able to thrive in the best way possible. And if you're able to do that in Istanbul, Turkey, then more power to you and your family, dog. For real, like seriously.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
And it looks like you got out just the right time.
I'm maybe more revolutionary, or some would say radical. I'm not a violent person, but radical in terms of understanding. I say that this isn't how America is. This is what America is. It's not that it's all the same no matter who the president is. It's not that one isn't worse than the other. There are definitely some that are much worse than others. But, this is just America with the mask off. I mean,
Well
it's
put.
always been, yeah.
There's no other way to put it, to be perfectly honest. The mask is off. That's the only thing that's changed. But it is what it is, right? There's tomorrow, and there's opportunities for folks to change things eventually when they realize that this isn't the way to go. And that's that. In the meantime, they've got a record like this, Satisfied Soul, to listen to.
Yeah, when things get really bad, I'm sorry, I think we got a really bad delay now. Like I said, the Wi-Fi here is crazy, but
Yeah, it's
um,
all good.
yeah, I feel like there have been times where I've made really like protest music, and there's been times when I've made really joyous, like happy music. And what's interesting is it seems like they've always been like at the opposite times that one would expect. So like, I made Uncle Sam Goddamn, and a lot of
Yeah.
the and Morning in America, Dreaming in Color. Like my most political music was when Obama was president. And then
Hmm.
All the Beauty in This Whole Life, Love and Service, Satisfied Soul, all of this, like, really, it's not happy music, but it is joyful, bright, high vibration
Yes,
music. When
yes, I agree
when
completely.
Yeah, man, I think it's really, and that might seem weird, but I actually feel good about that. So when people are, one of the things that they say is that a voice of an artist with regard to politics is to, uh, what do they say, like, disrupt the comfortable and comfort the disrupted. So to be comfort in times that are difficult, and to be a wake up call in times that seem easy.
Very true. Bare facts. Bare facts. Brother Ali, I really want to thank you for taking the time out at 3 a.m. in Istanbul to spend time with us in the lounge space. It's been a pleasure. This record, Satisfied Soul, out right now on Mello Music Group. It is fire. If you don't already have it, you need to get it. And catch an opportunity to see Brother Ali live back home. What are the dates that you're looking at?
So the U.S. tour is April and May. And then we've got some dates in France in May. We've got some dates in UK in June. And there's just more and more dates coming. So all of it is at brotherali.com. And the best thing that anyone can do for an independent voice, whether it's a website, a Twitch stream, a hip hop artist, a speaker, or whatever, sign their mailing list so that we don't have to rely on we don't have to rely on social media. So please sign the like, yeah, please, mailing list, mailing list, mailing list. If you don't
have how important those mailing lists are.
If you don't like our emails, just delete them. You know what I mean? It's fine, but man, sign that mailing list. That's the best way to know.
Well, yo, once again, thank you. Salute. Thank you for this dope record. And I hope the last time we get in the lounge space, because this has been crazy dope.
I would love to come back, man. Thank you so much. Thank you for everything.
Hey, respect. And yo, kill it on the upcoming shows.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Jay.
Most definitely. Appreciate you too. Satisfied Soul out now. Streaming. Hit up the Bandcamp, brotherly.com. It's like that. Peace.